This is the Secret Service car, the actual one. This is the ambulance.
How does Stalin's car end up in the United States? So you had to battle with the Bulgarian government.
I did. President Truman's car, Richard Milhouse Nixon. Ulysses S. Grant's Carriage. You talk about gangster cars. I wasn't going to give $1 million for a window. I'll settle for the one next to it. These hats right here are the hats that Bonnie and Clyde wore the day they got. I have so much stuff in here that the country don't know that I got. This is the Secret Service car, the actual one, known as the Queen Mary, that was right behind President Kennedy's limousine, November 22nd, 1963 at 12 o'clock. This car is extended out. It's got running, how should I say, steps in the back for the Secret Service guys to stand on. The running boards are extra wide. The running boards are extra wide with handles on the side of the A-post so the Secret Service could stand there, as will you see the picture on the wall. This is that car known as the Queen Mary.
So in the alternate theories where they proposed that one of the Secret Service guys accidentally fired his rifle from behind,
yes,
he was in this car.
Yes, there's strong rumors of that. They keep saying that.
Can't see through my jacket right now, but I got goosebumps. This is...
They talk about that as being strong possibility.
How did you get this car? What happened to this car after that day? Was it retired? Where'd it go?
Actually, this car ended up over in Belgium. And then Imperial Palace bought it. This is one of the group of cars that I bought. This come back to the Imperial Palace, and then I purchased it from them with that group of cars.
That's insane.
This is insane.
This is, this ranks right there at the top, for one of my, yeah.
So was it used more after that? Like, what year is that inspection sticker over there say? I can't read it.
I don't know.
68 maybe?
No, it was in service till 68.
Okay.
So that's possible. Now, the distance between these two cars is the distance about that it followed behind Kennedy throughout all that time. This car, like I said though, this car is made to the exact specs as the car that Kennedy was in, the X-100. And it was used in like a whole bunch of documentaries, like 11 different ones. 11 documentaries all about Kennedy. The Secret Service used this car to try to reenact it. They went to Dallas, tried to redo from the grassy knolls, tried to redo it from the building, check the angle of the shots. Then it got used in some movies. That's how accurate this car is.
Was this one part of the government fleet at that time? It just was a twin?
Not at all. This was just made.
Oh, it was built after the fact.
It was built after the fact.
Oh.
And a guy named Nick Cicelli, he ended up owning it. And he was getting a divorce, and he was ordered by the judge to sell this car. He was ordered to sell this car, so they split up the proceeds. Well, he didn't want to sell the car. Judge says, you got to sell the car. He put the car in hiding. The judge gave him a year in jail. He went to jail for a year over this car. And then, years later, it was getting stale on him, and he sold it to me. This car has got a story on its own.
And the one that was used doesn't look like this anymore.
The one that was used has got a hard top on it. It is now painted black. It don't even look like it. And it's over in Henry Ford Museum. When they got all redone doing it again, Hess and Eisenhart in Cincinnati, they painted it blue the same as this one. When they returned it to Washington, Lyndon Johnson looked at it and he said, I'm not using it, I want to paint it black. They just went and painted it all blue. So they went and repainted the darn thing black for him, and then he still didn't use it for a few months after that.
I don't really blame him.
No.
I see some other interesting things over there.
Oh, I got all kinds of
what
them.
Are they?
You didn't look in here.
I didn't look at any of this yet. What do you...
It's full.
What the heck?
I'll let you just look.
This one's cool too.
This one was one he used. There's pictures of him riding in it. When he was in Fort Stewart. This is the cab that he went from his book depository to his rooming house. And I thought, my gosh, I gotta have it. This is the ambulance that came to the police station to pick up Oswald. So they hurried up and they stuffed him in this ambulance. They got him to the hospital. They run him into the emergency room. 45 minutes later, he passed away, and they never could get the total truth. Some people say, what went on? So we have the ambulance.
Was it retired after that, or was it still?
It was still being used after that. So now this is the window next to the window that he shot him out of. I bought this from the Dallas Historical Society. They were selling off because they put new windows in there. So I bought this and I made a diorama so it kind of gave it the feel like you could see it out in the street.
Oh, wow.
Ruby was so in friends with all the policemen at the, what should I say, at the headquarters, that he could get in whenever he wanted. They never gave it a thought, but he went in there that day and walked right through the crowd.
Where is the window of the window?
Well, I can't tell right now, but it was for sale for $1 million. And I even got contacted on it, but I wasn't going to give $1 million for a window. I'll settle for the one next to it.
So
And,
this window was that one?
This window was that one.
Next to it and one floor down?
Yeah. Oh, that one.
Okay. The one that was part of the same window, but the
Yeah.
frame next to it.
Yeah,
Wow.
exactly. And like I said, they were replacing all the windows. And so I bought that right from the Dallas Historical Society.
When did they change the windows out? How long did they stay there?
Don't know the year. Might say it here.
Pleased to present them to you with the understanding that they will not be sold.
Yeah,
Were they sold after that?
It got sold.
Oh, well, it says removed in 1986.
Huh?
It says removed in 1986 above the window. I just didn't look up there yet.
Oh,
Was it your dream as a little kid to grow up and have all this?
no. When I was in school, first of all, I hated history. Had no thought about it. But as I got older and started getting artifacts, I started getting tied into some of it. And the feeling of the value of it, not the value of it in money, the value of it in archives, to have it and making people enjoy this. And I'm getting more and more tied up into that way. I love it when people come in and enjoy themselves. That gentleman today come from another country here and is in here. I thought, oh, this is just absolutely fantastic. It's just like Miss Belvedere. The thing is so junky, it ain't worth nothing, but it is worth it in history. It's valuable that way. Feels great. This got donated to me. Now, you asked me where I get some of these things. Some of these things are donated. Some of these things are put on loan. All my stuff out of NASA, which we're going to be coming to, is all on loan from Houston Space Center. But this car right here, I had no clue it had such popularity. This is a 1957 Plymouth. In 1957, Tulsa wanted to take and do something to commemorate their 50th anniversary to statehood. They decided they were going to dig a hole in the ground in the courthouse at Tulsa, Oklahoma. They put a cement vault in there. They got this brand new car without no miles, 0 miles on it, put it in the vault, sealed it over. Then they had a drawing. Anybody want to enter a contest what the population would be in Tulsa, Oklahoma in the year 2007 would win this car. 2007 was their 100th anniversary to statehood. So, in the year 2007, they dug it up. It was full of water. They dug up the car. It was saturated with water. What happened? The vault broke. They didn't use it thick enough cement or whatever. Well, it broke, and they went in and found out who won the population thing. Well, that person was over 100 years old.
Yeah.
So then they went to the next one. They were in the 90s. Well, they didn't want it. They didn't know what to do with the car. Who would want a car like this? They even called Smithsonian Institute. Well, they didn't want a car like that. So how did they call me? I don't know, but I thank them. So they called me up and asked if I'd like a donation of this car. I never heard of it. So I says, well, let me get back with you. I went on Google and I did some studying and I found out the story on this car. I says, I would love to have this car. This new edition wasn't done yet. I put it in my storage for a few years. And then I built this room, I wallpapered it. We got videos talking about it. Now, lo and behold, I get people coming from other countries. I get people coming here from Tulsa. I get people coming from all over because they think this is something they got to see. This is history. So, am I glad I got this car? Absolutely, yes.
That's hilarious. Do the tires still hold air, or are those different ones?
Same tires, and some of the people signed on them.
That's a good example of sometimes people don't know what they want until they get it.
I'm gonna pull these away.
Opening of the vault, preparations began. Tulsa residents were lining up to volunteer.
There you go.
To be part of
Totally destroyed.
historical event.
They put a gallon of gas in there because they didn't know what kind of gas they'd use in the year 2007. They didn't take chance, so they put gas in there. They even put a case of Schlitz beer in there.
I didn't know it was possible for all of this to be in somebody's possession that was outside of some government-backed museum. Like some of the stuff, like how did this get out here? I just don't.
Yeah, I know.
I still don't believe it. I mean, I believe it, but I don't.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't think that this was possible.
Well, you know what happens? People pass away, and they've been collecting. And that's what happens. Like I showed you the coins and some of that stuff from President Lincoln. They have it in their heart and love a certain thing. I'll tell you some more about this Kennedy stuff. There was a man named Robert White, and he absolutely loved Kennedy, and all he did was collect Kennedy. And he had a museum down in Tampa, Florida, all about Kennedy. He passed away in the year of, well, he was 53 years old. And he was tied up with a lady named Evelyn Lincoln. Evelyn Lincoln was President Kennedy's personal secretary. Throughout time, she gathered many, many artifacts of his. Like I say, when he passed, there's an auction house named Guernsey's in New York City. Sold it, and I bought about everything I could get my hands on.
It's interesting. So it's like over enough time, you have these individual collectors who someone gets a little bit, someone gets a little bit, and then they all kind of go to a larger collector, and it's like it's almost like I don't know what the word, there's a word for that I can't think of, but over time, through the efforts of many different people over decades, it kind of becomes reconsolidated to one spot, and in this case is you.
Well, I'll tell you what, a lot of people's collections ended up here. Lots of them. And I just feel fortunate when I can hear about them. And then the second thing I got fortunate about is if I can come up with enough funds to purchase them. And that's why sometimes I really hate to sell something I don't want to, but I will if I know I can get another one just like it down the road. There's a lot of things in here that way that I had to do.
Again, this museum is Historic Auto Attractions in Roscoe, Illinois. I would have come here years ago if I knew this was here. You gotta see this place.
You won't find classic cars in here that you'll see on the street. Everything I got here is very special kind of cars. Not just cars though, neither. I started it out as historic auto attractions. Well, all of a sudden some people think, well, a bunch of autos. It's a small part of it anymore. A lot of this in right now has artifacts and things of such as presidents, Lincoln. There's just various that don't stop. So you'll find something in here you like. Now, I love the Old West, and it brings you back in that time period. Like right here, we got a 1798 Conestoga wagon. Now, I mean, that's unrestored, and if anybody likes the Old West or get the feel, you're back in time right there. That's our tagline here, by the way. Historic auto attractions, back in time.
You just pull in here and these buildings just go on and on. And
well,
this is going to be
that's
one of the
another
coolest places
thing.
I've ever
Some
been.
people come in here and they go on and on and on. They don't know the true feeling of how far this is because I got it all in different rooms too, instead of just one big building. So that helps split it up. So when I'm done with the Old West here, for instance, we're going to go in and see Elvis Presley, Marilyn Monroe, James Dean. I got them categorized.
So you're basically like the Smithsonian of the Midwest.
Well, by God, I think we're very special like that. There's a lot of people compare us to the Smithsonian, but they like our stuff better. That's a really good feeling. Now, for instance, people love Elvis Presley. And this is one of his cars. We have a picture of him riding in it. We have the title showing it was in his name. See, so the authenticity is really strong on it. Now, Elvis Presley owned so many cars in his lifetime. He'd buy cars and give it to his entourage and never ever see them. They go down to the dealership and he might buy 3 or 4 cars and give it to them. This was Elvis in his name and he used it.
How did you get it?
I bought it from a friend of mine down in Orlando, Florida.
Wow. Did you ever drive it or you just put it right in here?
No, these cars, they don't leave the building. And some people that have auto museums or whatever, sometimes they always say they like to start them once a month. Oh my, that'd be a lot of work. Yeah. And it's better not to start a car because that builds up condensation in the cylinders and inside the motor, and then they could actually rust. Leave them sit, climate controlled building, it just stays dry that way.
That makes sense.
Now another thing people love is Marilyn Monroe. Makes me wonder because all the people, a lot of them that are icons, they died early. Elvis Presley, James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Buddy Holly. They died as young people. And there just seems like they got immortalized. Okay, this room right here that we're in, every one of these is kind of like world leaders. Now, most of these come from the Imperial Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. I bought a big package of this before I opened up my museum. They approached me and I flew out there and looked at a bunch of these cars and we struck out a deal on a price. I went back to my bank and I got a quote on this first section of building. And I got the approval from the bank. I put up the building, I got the cars, my museum become reality.
I don't even know how does Gorbachev's car come here? Look how thick these windows are. That's insane. A 2004 sticker on it. Was somebody driving this thing around? Gorbachev with the car in 2005, and there's a Maryland license plate on it. Somebody drove this thing around a little bit. How does Stalin's car end up in the United States? Do you know that origin story? How did that happen?
Yeah, this thing got stolen. Let me go over here.
I was so excited to see this car. This one in particular.
Well, I found out about this here car and worked out a deal and purchased it, put it in the museum here. And about a few months later, Homeland Security come knocking on my door, come on in and says, we're taking possession of this here car. It got stolen out of the Sofia Museum in Bulgaria. And it got stolen by the mob, put it in Belgium in a container, shipped it to the United States. It ended up in Chicago. Guy in Chicago got a title on it and got everything. I bought it as legal as it could be. But this car has some history to it. The Russian government gave this to the Bulgaria. Well, I want to show you this.
Yeah, I want to see inside this thing.
Well, I want to show you this. The windows on this are 3 inches thick. The vent is 3 inches thick. The window's so heavy to get it up, you can't crank it. It's got hydraulic pump right here. And you got to pump it like a bottle jack and it goes up real slow.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's so heavy it won't pump up. The doors alone, I mean, if you feel them, they're very heavy.
Oh, wow. That's several hundred pounds.
Oh, yeah. Well, this car started out at 7,500 pounds. By the time they got done armoring it, which is the roof, the doors, the floor, it now weighs 15,000 pounds.
Wow.
This thing is very, very armored.
They must have some, like, military truck tires on this thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I had a 2-year battle to try to keep owning this, and the government over there finally gave in and signed it over to me.
In Bulgaria?
So, yeah, so I got true title to it now.
So you had to battle with the Bulgarian government.
I did. Now, our government has to stand up for the Bulgarian government when there's an issue like that something gets stolen. So our government had to stand up for them, but they'd have had to pay me back what I had in it. Plus, I had over $100,000 in attorney fees. A lot of expense, and they finally just let me have it.
American-made Packard, but it's got Soviet tires on it. Model E36, I36. Pretty much M-O-D-E-L, and that little B is kind of like shortens the last pronunciation of the word, almost like an apostrophe. So it's like M-O-D-E-L apostrophe, so it's a short L. Any history buffs out there know what tire this was made for, some type of Soviet army truck. I'd love to know.
I did a lot of, how should I say, grief to keep it, but I sure do feel it's worth it because this is a special collection to have in my world leader cars.
No kidding. I mean, this is, how could you top this? Which seat would Stalin have sat in? Back here?
Well, he'd have sat in the back.
Were there any cool things in the interior, like
No.
just a seat?
No.
Nothing fancy?
But I must say again, look at, even the side vents are 3 inches thick. The front window, the rear window, the whole thing is armored quite well.
So they had this thing armored out like that in 1937, and then in 1963, the United States still had the president riding around in a convertible.
Boy, ain't that something.
It is.
They protected their government, high officials, and here Mr. Kennedy's riding around in a convertible. But when he got assassinated, that was the last time a president ever rode in an open car.
I'm a big fan of Cold War history.
Oh.
All that.
Yeah.
It fascinates me more than maybe some other
Ulysses
things.
S. Grant's Carriage.
How many miles are on it?
Since overhaul?
Yeah. I'm so blown away at stuff like this. You think it wouldn't even exist anymore.
I must
But here it is.
explain. It gets good gas mileage. It's got 2 horsepower.
Runs on grass. Grass and water.
Instead of gas, it's grass.
I really have no words for this. This is, I don't know. I'm just trying to get a grasp on how one man can acquire all of these things
Well,
in
I'm
a
trying
lifetime.
to get a grasp on
This is insane.
I'm talking, what are you going to put on and what do you want me to not say or
I
what?
don't know. You talk. I say whatever this is what it is, and I'm
And
cool
then
with
you'll
that.
cut it out, okay?
Yeah. I edit things down and.
Well, this right here, this was President Franklin Delano Roosevelt's car. And this was made by Hess and Eisenhardt also in Cincinnati, Ohio. If you look, it's stretched out between the doors. It has, you can see him riding in the back seat. It has gun racks in the back.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Once again, not bulletproof though. I like this car a lot.
This one.
I like it. I think it's got, I think it's got class. I think when you look at it, I mean, it's dignitary. It's everything about it.
Yeah,
You
it
know.
does. Big Cadillac,
Yeah.
white wall tires.
The horns on the fenders. I mean, everything. It just looks class. It's big, it's long, it's stretched. I think it's a piece of art.
It is. At the time, this is like the embodiment of America.
Yeah. Now, if you look straight over there, you'll see President Truman's car. That's a 1950 Lincoln. And do you notice how tall the roof is on that?
Yeah.
They raised the roof on that car 7 inches. And I love to have quiz people why'd they raise the roof.
His hat.
Everybody back then wore top hats. All the presidents did. And you couldn't fit in the car. So they raised the roof so you could wear a hat.
I only know that because of Harry Gant. We did a video with him and he talked about one of his old 50s cars. He's like, look how tall this roof is. They did that because everybody wore hats. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. So,
Harry Gant?
yeah.
Whoa. Wow.
Usually we do things about race cars, but in our defense, race cars are easier to find than these.
You don't find this stuff. This
No.
is like hidden treasures. And when you find one, I don't sell it. nothing's for sale in this room. Because this, to me, my presidential cars, this is a special time in history. I like the older ones a whole bunch.
Yeah, this is, once all these cars are together,
Yeah,
they gotta stay together or they end up all over the place again and you'll never see them all in one spot.
right. We had 300 kids in here 2 days ago from school. They come in here and they did it for educational purposes. And I thought that was, I felt honored that they came here to do that, the teachers and all that, and brought them in and showed them what history was. So I feel not only did I build a museum on my own just because I like the special stuff, I just helped history,
Yeah, you're keeping it alive.
keeping it alive.
Without someone to have the proper facilities and resources to keep these cars preserved, they'll rot away.
Well, you know that word resources? That's my hardest one. Because I've had to sell things like no presidential cars, but I sold stuff that I didn't want to. I had a Tucker. I had a 53 Corvette, but I sold them. There was 353 Corvettes made. I figured, well, one day I could always get another one, but I ain't gonna find a president car. So
Yeah.
if I find something like that that's real special and real rare, like one-off, then I'll sell.
That makes sense.
1941 Packard Ralston. That's kind of a rare one too. But what's featured and special about this? Black Jack Bouvier owned it. That was Jackie Kennedy's father. And so that was a good tie.
Once you get enough of these things, if people start coming to you and saying, hey, I have this, because they know that you're the guy for it to ask about
Yeah,
it.
I get people approaching me quite a bunch. You know, I ask them if I have interest in something. 98% of it I gotta say no to because it doesn't pertain. I didn't mean to ever hurt their feelings, but I say I just don't fit. But by God, if 2% you hit and you get a lot of people, it's good.
You look at the Nixon's car versus, well, pretty much all these other ones. It seems like he really got the short end of the stick with the fancy car
I gotta
deal
say
here.
something here. You know, Nixon, when he got out of presidency, this was his personal car.
Okay, that
You know,
makes
this
more
was
sense.
through the gas crunch time,
Oh,
and this was his.
that makes a lot more sense because this does not have the
No.
the big.
Yeah. You'll see it's in his name. Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Is it still armored? Just big.
No.
While strong on foreign policy, Kennedy was much less proactive on domestic issues, particularly
Is it front wheel drive?
at least until
I think so.
1963.
I'm
That's
not
interesting. I wonder if it's the only front wheel drive presidential car.
sure. Yeah. Well, like I said, this ain't exactly a presidential car, but it was owned by a president, and that was good enough, and it still tells the story.
It counts to me as presidential. If he still had Secret Service protection
Yeah.
and all that, it's
Yeah. Well, it just helps when you got a little documency with it and the title was in his name. I mean, that's good stuff.
yeah. What about some of these over here? Are there
Let's go this way. We can do them on the return.
any- Okay. We'll just
Go
keep
look
moving
up
on.
there.
Gangster land.
Okay, Gangsterland, that's one of our top 3 exhibits that people enjoy the most. Number 1 is the Kennedy. Number 2 is the tie between Lincoln and my presidential cars. Number 3 is right here, Gangsterland. People seem to get tied up in that 1930s era of gangsters. And they tie that a lot into Chicago because when you talk about Dillinger, when you talk about Capone, they were all in that town.
You don't have Jimmy Hoffa in here, do you?
No, but I got one of his on the wall there, some pamphlets and autograph. Now here, let me show you something here. You're gonna appreciate this. Now, in this room, I also separate it. That over there is Dillinger. This over here is mostly Bonnie and Clyde. These hats right here are the hats that Bonnie and Clyde wore the day they got shot down. You can see bullet hole in the back of his.
All right. I'm going to ask this question a lot, but how did you get these?
I got those from Christie's auction. Clyde Barrow's sister had those for years in a trunk. It was so flattened I can't get it back in form hardly. And she decided after, I don't know, 40, 50 years, she was still living and auction them off. And Christie's is a large auction house. Now in 1967, there was a movie, Bonnie and Clyde. That was featured Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway. And this is the movie car.
Oh.
I try to get people, I write on there that it's right there, it's tribute car from the movies. The real one is in Primm, Arizona, not far from Las Vegas. And I tried buying it, won't sell it. You talk about gangster cars, unrestored, out of Chicago, 1-inch glass, round holes to run the machine guns out. Now, most of the gangsters in Chicago weren't out shooting civilians. They were shooting members, the other gang members. They were all trying to take over number one. But anyway, this was unrestored out of Chicago.
Where was it preserved in this form? And do you know the incident that caused those chips in the window?
I can't answer that.
Just another day in the life.
This guy was conquered some special history. Yeah, was Spruce Goose. Set a lot of records flying.
How do you get Disney to donate these?
They didn't.
Oh, I thought it
The
said...
lady gave them to me.
That makes more sense. The thing said donor.
She won them in a raffle. This lady did, and her daughter used to race. And she donated them to the museum. I got some real special stuff. Come over here.
How...
Okay, there's a story behind this. There was a guy named Dr. Lattimore. He was a doctor. He was out of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And he collected President Abraham Lincoln artifacts only. And when he passed away, his family put this stuff up for auction. I bought everything I could figure out how to come up with money on, such as the handles off of the casket.
How did
Well, he was buried in the side of a hill. And then when they got the new monument done, when they took him out and put him in another one, this told all about it, how the groundskeeper got him.
Wow, so he was buried for 9 years, and then they took him back out.
When you die, before rigor mortis sets in your eyelids and all that to hold him down, this is one of the coins they put over his eyelid to hold the eyelid down till rigor mortis set in. Over here is a handkerchief that they tied around his jaw and his head. You can see the blood on it yet? To hold his jaw up till rigor mortis set in. So I said, Dr. Lattimore collected some very special stuff. Otherwise, this is really hard to find. Throughout here's a lot of artifacts, just different things.
And not Abram. The election campaign itself.
Louis Payne, one of the conspirators, he wore these manacles. You see a picture of him with them on when they hung him. They kept him on him all the time he was in captive, but they hung him with them on. This is a chair out of President Lincoln's office. Underneath of it, there's a tag. It says the White House with a serial number, and you can follow up and find out all the. Yeah, it says the White House with a bronze tag. Now, another thing I like doing when I buy, I like to buy from reputable auction houses because they don't want to sell stuff unless they can get proper provenance, because that don't look good for their name either. And so I feel always comfortable when I buy through Heritage, Guernsey's, Christie's. There's several big ones. This here is Colonel Sanders' limo. We got a hold of one of his suits.
Is it done on purpose that this is a Lincoln outside the Lincoln exhibit?
No.
It's a coincidence.
It just fits in this row. Not at all. No tie-in at all. Never thought about it that way.
Now you can tell people that's why you put it there.
No, I don't want to do that. I never thought about that. I got your brain fried out yet?
No, not at all.
You do know that Eva Braun and Adolf Hitler got married the night before they committed suicide. This is her dress, nightgown. And if you look over here, this is one of her pistols. And her really professionally, her name's carved in it.
Was this collection all assembled when you got it, or were they pieced together?
Pieced together.
Really?
I pieced a lot of this together. Well, let's go around this way. As long as before we go up this aisle, come over here. His jewelry case, his eyeglasses. This come out of the Imperial Palace. This was one of my special ones that's hard to haul because, you know, you're so scared to have it hauled. This was Mussolini's. Ain't that thing beautiful?
Yeah.
You know why? I like the body design and it ain't black.
It is interesting that it's not black or dark colors. Usually they're dark
Not black.
colors.
Look behind you. That come out of the Imperial Palace.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
So this is called a Horch, because wasn't it August Horch started that, and then they acquired a couple other companies and became Auto Group, and the four rings symbolized the different companies, and then that turned into being called Audi. What we know is Audi today, is that right?
Yes, I believe you're correct. I'm not
Something like that.
100% educated on that.
This is interesting. I mean, it's a good idea. That you did that.
I
Just
gotta
peop-
put that
just-
on there.
Just so people understand. For sure.
Yes.
There.
This car here come out of the Imperial too. Hero Heatles. These.
My God.
What are you looking at?
The little office in the center.
Huh?
The office in the center over here. All the details.
Well, look
inside
in
the
this room.
buildings. Wow. Oh my God.
Wow. That was probably the one he spent the most time on. It's interesting that this Hiroto and Stalin.
Hirohito.
I don't know how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
If that's the right way. I probably won't remember that.
I might
but
be saying it wrong.
I'll take your word for it. That guy had
Yeah.
a Packard, and Stalin had a Packard, and Packards are American cars.
Oh, the high-end guys over there, they love Packards.
I bet that really
And
bothered them.
Mercedes.
Mercedes makes
Packards,
sense.
Mercedes. They didn't drive a normal low-end stuff. Had to be high-end dignitary car. They had to drive through the streets with class.
Have you ever come across a Soviet ZIL limousine?
No, there was one sitting in Detroit, Michigan. It needed a lot of work, but they wanted a lot of money, and I just couldn't justify it. I didn't have enough feel for it.
Has anybody ever asked you about one of those before, specifically?
No, they haven't.
Yeah. If that's any indication of how much I read about this stuff,
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder what kind of cars they were driving.
Yeah. We're heading into the Kennedy stuff.
Zim. Oh, the car is called a Zim. This is actually a Soviet-made car. Well, why is it called a Pullman? Is that just a generic name for a sedan or something?
I guess you could pull it up and take a peek.
All kinds of presidential furniture. Oh my God. Sometimes I'm not saying anything because I really just don't even know what to say. I knew this place was big and it had cool stuff, but this is on a whole different level that I don't know if anybody could quite honestly be prepared for. A piece of wood from George Washington's casket.
There's a cake.
So you ate a piece of JFK's birthday cake?
Oh God, yeah, I had to. Nothing wrong with it. A little dry. Other than that, well, how many people can say on President Kennedy's 100th birthday, he's been passed away forever, I ate a piece of his birthday cake, the only one that can say that. When Marilyn Monroe sang happy birthday to the president in 1962, one of the Secret Service agents kept a cake. It was in Madison Square Garden in New York City. He kept it in all the bunch of years, and then he passed away. His widow decided to sell it. And so she had Heritage Auctions auction it off. Well, I bought the cake. Problem is I had to figure out how to way to get it home back here to Roscoe from New York. You can't UPS this thing, it'd be nothing left of it. So they have an office in Chicago, so they personally delivered it to me. And I had it here on display, and then when it was his 100th birthday, I called the newspaper, they come up, I brought the thing in my office, I sat down, I says, I'm gonna celebrate President Kennedy's 100th birthday, so I did. I ate myself a real small piece, just to say I did so.
Yeah. What did it taste like?
Well, no taste, just dry. It'd be like eating a piece of sawdust. But how many people's ate sawdust, right?
Which piece where'd you
Oh, I
get the
just
piece
had
from?
me a little piece like that.
Like one of the
that
ones that
orange stuff there.
kind of fell off anyway?
Yeah.
That
Just
is
enough to
just-
say I did so, because I don't know what words to use, but that's very special to say that I ate a piece of that cake on his
is.
100th birthday.
A guy from Illinois who built race cars.
Yeah. I got a goofy side of me too.
What a story.
I gotta say something. You never know from what day to the next when you're a collector what's around the corner that somebody comes up with, what auction's got it, or what phone call is gonna come that say, I have this special item. And sometimes it is very special. So all you do is hope you can figure out a way to come to terms and you're the new owner. And now it's in here for everybody to enjoy. I mean, that's what this is about. It's not just for me to come in here every day to enjoy it. I'd love to see the visitors entertain themselves and had a great time.
Do you display anything that's like on loan from somebody else? Like if you're like, well, I have this thing, I don't want to sell it or give it away, but I'd like people to see it.
Well, yeah, let's go to the next room.
Oh, okay. I anticipate this video will help you get some more of those.
Look at this. What do you see?
Rocket parts.
You see NASA. This has come from the Paint Museum. When I was down there buying Lee Harvey Oswald's taxi cab, this was getting ready to be hauled back to Johnson Space Center down in Houston. I talked to the right guy, and he says, well, we can work that out if you can, we have to check you out. So I check it, they checked me out. They said I could do it. All I had to do is put insurance on it and sign a new contract once a year. Now I've had it here for several years. Now these are for educational uses. These ain't never been in space. Every one here is for education, except for one thing I bought. This was Gene Cernaman's glove. This actually flew on the last Apollo space mission, and I purchased it.
Did you ever try it on?
Oh no, no. They sent me this tire a few years ago. I never could imagine how heavy they are, but look, I'm gonna put my hands on it. Now watch how thick it is.
Jeez.
That's how thick it is.
The whole tire's that thick.
Yeah.
How much does it weigh? Oh, 205 pounds, says right on there.
Yeah, 205 pounds.
Is there anything else in here that's one of your significant items that we haven't seen yet?
Not really.
Because I don't know what's in here.
Not really. Ghostbusters in here and that stuff, but not really. This one's used for production uses. Same way with this one, but George Barris made them. He signed the hood and everything.
I like how these things are just kind of like, oh yeah, this was in production, that was in production, and anywhere else these would be the Kingpin exhibit, but what you have over there and over there makes this kind of like, oh yeah, that's just the car from Back to the Future.
Well, in the museum, we're getting near the end of the walk and the end of the tour. Well, I keep them at the end because of the young generation, the kids. They love this so much. If I put these first, they'd be kept wanting to see some more. And so if I keep this at the end, that gives them a special feeling as they say goodbye to the museum. We still ain't went through Animal Kingdom. I got several animals, all taxidermied so they can get up close and pet a couple of them. I leave the best for the last for the kids. I have 3 different Batman cars here. This one here is called the Bat Missile. This was the only one made for the show. Now they spend a ton of money when they go to make some of this stuff, because this was used 6 seconds in the film on Batman Returns. They pulled it with a cable down a narrow street, alley. Boom, 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 done. They spent a lot of money for short time sometimes. It's even got gauges in it and everything. I thought they went a little overboard, just pull it down a street.
Yeah.
you know.
We just watched that movie a few months ago, and I don't even remember this.
You remember this?
I
in
don't.
there?
No, I remember the whole car. I don't remember this.
Yes. See it? Cops chasing it.
Yeah.
He's going down the street, and all of a sudden he pushes a button, and the wings come off, and then poof, he goes down the alley.
Mickey Thompson tires.
You don't remember neither, do you?
No, I remember that part. Yeah, like you said, it wasn't very long. 2 seconds of the movie, and that's
Yeah, it went poof, done.
Do they have a tire deal with Mickey Thompson? I've got all Mickey Thompson
Well, of all the
tires.
cars that he made for the movies, you know, because they had a bunch of different styles, I like this one the best.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Well, I appreciate you coming over. I enjoyed giving you a tour. I'm hoping other people get to get entertained by what you're doing to entertain them.
Yeah, this is a whole lot more than I bargained for. I had no idea what was in here. Not, I mean, a little bit, but not to the capacity that this is. But
Yeah.
if somebody has an artifact that they think would be something you want, how could they tell you about it?
Well, the best thing to do is get a hold of historicautoattractions.com and leave an email in there.
Well, cool.
That, or they can do Wayne at lefthanderchassis.com. That's my personal. Me and you today, I wanted to show it all to you, but you actually only seen just a hair over 50% because we were trying to cover a lot without doing 2 days.
Yeah, got to leave something for people to want to come here and see too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Hope we can come back here sometime. Actually, you can probably come back here several times and still not see everything.
Well, we're in World War II room, and in this room here is uniforms, things of all the different countries. What you're looking at in here is every uniform from people out of Pearl Harbor. Paul Tibbets, this is his hat. He was the pilot that dropped the bomb over Hiroshima.
Was this the hat? I guess he wouldn't have been flying with a hat on, would he?
Yeah,
So he was wearing this hat when he dropped the bomb.
yeah.
How the heck do you get that?
Got it through auction house.
Wow.
See, a lot of times when people pass on, and they might have had their grandfather or something has owned it, and they've had it for a long time, and some of them don't exactly keep a special precious memory of it. They'll sell it and trade it in for cash that they can use it for. There's several items like that in here.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, some people don't even know what they have. It makes you wonder how many really cool things have just disappeared because they don't even know what it is.
I know. Well, they don't appreciate the value of it too, you know. You want to know what's special about this boat?
What is that?
This was used in the movie Winds of War. When you thought you're watching a full-size boat, the studios and all that, they would make boats that were scaled down, and this is actually what you'd see in the movie. This is a 25-foot boat. And Winds of War, after it was over with, Debbie Reynolds, that was a movie star, she had a museum in Las Vegas. And she had it in her museum until they closed down and it went up for auction, and at which time I bought it.
Well, this is really detailed once you get up close to it.
Now, I won't go through every one of these suits here, but if you scan down through here, every one of these is from a different country, a different era of the war. So is it with these hats. Now, some of these ain't just from World War II, there's suits and hats. I went and got them because I wanted different ones from different countries.
Did you have to go to different countries to get some of these?
Oh, no, not at all. I'm going to stay here in the United States for a while. I don't want to leave.
Your museum? It's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Really good.
Well, thank you very
I
much.
come from Brisbane, Australia to see this, and it's very impressive.
You came from where?
Brisbane, Australia. Yeah.
Not to see this.
Well, no, I'm here.
Yeah.
But I found it. I found it on the internet, and I thought, well, I'm going to come and have a look.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, same. I am too. Very good.
Oh, great. It makes me feel good.
Thank you for keeping this stuff in pristine order like you have. It makes it for us.
Well, thank you for choosing this place to come to.
Thank you. No, I've really enjoyed it. We've still got more to do.
you did.
Lots more.
You ain't done yet.
No way. Yeah, thank you.
It's cool to see other people that have a genuine appreciation for these things. It's very easy to tell which one of these is your dad. I didn't even see this at first. That's awesome.
The special meaning behind these suits, we were born in Festina, Iowa. And Festina, Iowa is not too far from Waterloo, Iowa, about 50 miles. And the significance of Waterloo, Iowa is where the Sullivan brothers were. The Sullivan brothers were very, how should I say it, heroes for a long time. What the Sullivan brothers did during World War II, the only way they joined if they stayed together, you know, while they were in service. Well, they went on a ship, and it was out in Pacific, and a torpedo sunk it. They all lost their lives. My dad and his brother were on a ship not far away from it and never got torpedoed, or I wouldn't even be here. And the thing about all that is, since then they'll never let brothers be on the same ship. And the other thing about it is they made movies on it. So it was a little hard on Mom and Dad to lose them all in one shot. My dad, his brother, there's their ships. They weren't on the same ship, but they were in the same area in the ocean. They got torpedoed and they never did. So, no museum. They got torpedoed and lost their lives. No Wayne.
Wayne's Museum is also home to the Illinois Stock Car Hall of Fame, and we filmed that too, but we're going to make it in a separate video because it would have made this one super long. It was worthy of its own video. So make sure you subscribe for part 2. I know I have to say that every time. A lot of you are, but statistically a lot of you aren't. And if you hit subscribe, it doesn't cost anything. It's just going to show you when we post something new. When you turn on YouTube, it'll be there for you to see it. What was your favorite car in there? I'd like to know, because there's a lot to pick from. My personal one that I just thought, wow, this is like the most badass thing in here, it's probably Stalin's Packard. Maybe because we got to see it up close. There were the other ones behind the glass you didn't really get into, really. We got to see that Packard. I thought that was cool. What a cool guy. We just met Wayne right before we filmed this. I talked to him on the phone a couple times. That was it. But I'm really hoping we can go back there sometime, because I feel like there's a lot more to be had.